One of the challenges of Parkinson's is it becomes much more difficult to use a mobile phone, especially anything that relies on the ability to touch accurately and smoothly. So that's a problem. Working with a keyboard or a mouse is also a problem. This is called fine motor control. Larger movements are easy. Small, precise, controlled movements are challenging. That means something as simple as tying shoelaces becomes a challenge. Doing buttons becomes a challenge. And certainly anything relating to fast typing or mobile phone usage, even answering and holding a phone, becomes problematic, to say the least. What else? Well, there are all sorts of other symptoms that Parkinson's has. It's not one disease. It's a whole series of diseases which are different in many cases between individuals. It's a disease that doesn't necessarily kill you, but it makes life much more difficult. One famous person who has Parkinson's and who set up a foundation to help people is Michael J. Fox, the actor. Keeping social distancing. You'll notice I'm not wearing a mask. That's okay because I'm out of doors and I'm not taking any public transport, but I have the mask around my neck if necessary. I'm not going into any confined spaces. Parkinson's, as far as I'm aware, doesn't make you vulnerable or more vulnerable to something like COVID-19. So that's a blessing. But having Parkinson's and dealing with a rapidly accelerating case of it has made life much more difficult in this COVID-19 environment. It's a beautiful day. It's now July 2020. How does Parkinson's feel? Well, it feels like being old, or what I imagine being old feels like. I don't consider, or didn't consider myself to be old until I discovered there are certain limitations. Fitness is impacted, so that's something to work on. I'm feeling breathless even with this walk, which I do every day, but I normally don't walk and talk. Not sure that I can blame the Parkinson's on that. Probably just fat and out of shape. But I'm working on that. Since last year I've lost 10 kilos, and in the lockdown I make sure I get a daily walk when permissible of at least 3 kilometers. So I'm doing something. Could probably eat more healthily. There's a Parkinson's diet known as MIND, which I've been looking into. Parkinson's has no cure. There are, however, things that can be done. As I mentioned in the first part, Parkinson's is, or one of the symptoms of Parkinson's the effects is the death of brain cells which produce dopamine, which is an important chemical of the brain. So there are dopamine pills, levodopa, which can help to offset that problem. However, they don't work for everyone, and over time they reduce in effectiveness. So, as I said, no cure. There is some exciting work being done in Parkinson's research. Most recently, in July, I heard about studies being done in mice where certain brain cells are being converted to dopamine producing cells, to neurons. That's great if you're a mouse, because it's only working in mice at the moment. And it could be 10 or 12 years before the results of that research gets to human trials or something that can be taken by some of the hundreds of thousands of Parkinson's sufferers here in the UK. Having said that, there is another option, particularly for people such as myself with severe movement disorders, and that's known as deep brain stimulation. You may have heard of a pacemaker, which is a device that's implanted to help regulate the signals and timing of the heart. Now imagine a similar device that does the same thing, provides regulation for the brain. That's called DBS. Oh. Deep brain stimulation means, hang on people, deep brain stimulation means you have brain surgery to implant up to 4 wires from the top of the head, drilling down through the brain into certain parts of the brain, such as the medulla oblongata or the thalamus. I think it's the thalamus in my case, for the movements which occur. What that does is it helps to interfere with the constant sending of signals to the nerves that control the hands. And by using a smart piece of electronics implanted in the chest cavity, it helps to control the symptoms, but of course it's not a cure. Recent research, however, does suggest that it can slow the progression of certain types of Parkinson's. As a result of a study, it showed that DBS recipients had a slower progression of other symptoms. So that's very good news, something I look forward to. So this year I'm on the track to be evaluated for implantation of deep brain stimulation or DBS through the NHS. That is not a fast process. I've been told it can take 6 months or longer, and there's a lot of steps to go through first, but I'm very confident I'll take those steps, because if what I read is correct, 95% of recipients of DBS have substantial benefits in relief of their symptoms. So, something positive to look forward to. This is me smiling. Yes, that's another Parkinson's joke, because one of the symptoms of Parkinson's is a frozen face. Yeah, lack of expression. Humorless bastard. That's me. So I hope to keep track of this journey leading up this year, hopefully, to the operations, plural, where DBS is implanted, electrodes in my brain and a controller in my upper chest near the collarbone, and wires led under my scalp, down my neck and into the controller. So basically, from a science fiction point of view, I'm going to become a cyborg, part man, part machine. And I want to invite you on this journey with me to see what happens. There will be highs, there will be lows. I may become less coherent, but if it helps to educate, then I'm keen to do that, to share my experience with others. So thank you very much for listening, and we'll see each other on the flip side in the next part. Bye, and keep strong.